Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. Today is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday morning to you. I hope that your morning is going well. Today I thought I'd do a little Q&A, some little questions from my viewers. So I did these a long time ago and I do a lot of explaining about my life and things. Well, then there's a lot of you that are new that just start watching my videos and think, what is this lady doing? And so they have a lot of questions. So I asked for your questions. I've got them on my phone. If you're like me, I don't know if you are or not, but I don't like having a lot of stuff on my phone. Like I am a very minimalist. Like my phone, like the photo picture doesn't even have, like people have thousands of pictures. No, I like to clean up, keep just the minimal that I need on there. And so one of the areas is screenshots. And so I keep all, like if you guys tell me something in the comments, I screenshot it. Or if you give me a suggestion, I screenshot it. Or maybe a recipe, and I'll screenshot it and save it for later. And then I'll kind of go through them every few months when I think about it and go, okay, do I really want to make that? Or let me go do something with this information, or let me, just to file and do something with it. So I've had these questions on here for a little while, and I thought I need to do a little Q&A today. So that is what I'm going to do today. So my first question is from Marlene G. And she said, I might have missed it. Sorry, in that case, have I ever gone into why I stopped having 10 children? And she explains the situation about her grandma and what happened to her. For us, we had... people are like, how did you know you're gonna have 10 children? We didn't know we were gonna have 10 children. We had, like, I want to say the first 4, and then we didn't have any for 5 years. And during that time is when I became a Christian and really got to grow in my walk with the Lord and learn a lot of stuff that I had no idea about. Learned about being a homemaker, learned about being a mom, and all those good things. And then just started praying. I was like, God, give us the children you want. And so we had a child. Like, we didn't for 5 years, like at all. We had a miscarriage in there, and we didn't get pregnant at all. So where it kept till full term. And then every about year and a half, 2 years, we had a baby for the next 6. And so after every child, like we had Jaden, and I was like, okay, like even afterwards, like instead of, usually after you're like, I don't want any more kids, like I was like, I'll have more. And even after all of them, all the way down to Madeline, I was like, I can do this again. Yeah, I want to have more, whatever. It's like it never crossed me to like not want to have kids. And then when I got pregnant with Steven, like I was probably feeling the best in my life. I was exercising, I lost a lot of weight, and it was great. It was just a like I felt like I don't want to do this anymore kind of pregnancy, and then even giving birth to him. And all of that, it was like as soon as I was done having him, it was like the Lord said, no more. And it like had such a peace about it. It's not like I lived with like, do I have more? Do I not? What do I do? But after Stephen, it was like, you're done. And I was like, okay. And I felt such peaceful about that. It's like I didn't feel like I needed to get to a certain number. If he would have said that after number 7, would have been fine. I'm learning my walk with the Lord and learning to listen to him and depend on him. And I want to get close. So hearing that, I was like, all right. And I feel very content, very, very content with my 10 kids. They would make you very content. So that is why we stopped having kids. And so we haven't since. We did have a miscarriage. We moved here to North Carolina. It's been 6 years, I think. 6 years, yes. And we did, I got pregnant, and I was like, and I really doubted. I was like, okay. And I questioned, because I was like, Lord, I thought I heard you say no more kids. I'm like, I don't understand. And then I ended up miscarrying that baby. And so I was like, okay, I knew I wasn't going to have that baby. And we haven't gotten pregnant. I'm 45 years old. And so, yeah, that's our story on why we have 10 kids. Lisa Wilson, she gave me a lot of questions. I'm looking through hers right now. I'm like, there's a lot of questions here. So one of her questions is, how do you adjust your food budget and meal plan? I'm still learning that. We forever, since the kids were little, we kind of kept to like a $125, $150 per person per month, and that included everything, like all the supplies for the house, that kind of stuff. And that's a good realistic number. Like I know you'll see people say like 100 or maybe 125 per person, and that's good, but those people also go out and eat a lot, and they budget for that. And so we never did. We do now, but we never did before go out and eat. Very rare that we did, because it's expensive. We might do like when they had dollar McDonald's, that was a treat. Everybody got 2 things. So, or we would do the $5 pizzas at Little Caesars, and that was a treat. But for the most part, we didn't eat out, so we just kept that fine budget. And so now I'm adjusting to, and it takes time. It really does take time. Like the last, I don't know, I'm gonna say 6 months, like life's changed, and I'm adjusting to what I spend on food. And so I'm getting rid of my extra freezer downstairs. And so, yeah, I know I have an extra freezer, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to donate that. I don't need it. We don't need that much food. And so, and I'm right now this month, I'm learning to like low spend and cut down on spending. And we're trying to use up what we have a lot in the freezers and things like that. So to kind of start out fresh again. And so it'll definitely be an adjustment, but we'll base it on like, I'll go high, 150 a month. I say aim high because everything goes up in price. And if you go less, awesome, but aim high for that amount. So that's kind of what we do, 150 per person per month. And again, that might be high for some, but it's not eating out. It's not including that. So it's about 125, 150. That's just the number I do. And she says, how do I do my meal plan? It varies every single month, every single month. Sometimes I go to the store and I see what they have at the discount store first, and then I come home and make a meal plan off it. Sometimes I sit and make a meal plan out of things that are in my freezer. Sometimes I sit and do a whole month's worth of meals and plan them all out and get inspired and do a big giant cooking fest. Sometimes I'm just making food every single day. It just depends on different seasons, because not every season is the same. I haven't done freezer meals in a long time. I still have some in my freezer from like beginning of summer. It's just the time. I know that once school starts back up and life begins again, it'll probably go back to a freezer meal for some things, not a lot, but just to, because it's easier and life gets busy and I don't want to just be pulling out chicken or like breaded chicken or macaroni and cheese in a box, which is awesome, by the way, for kids. No shame. Or going out to eat just because it's easier. And so it depends. It depends on the season. I'm not stuck to anything. I do mix it up. I do mix up a lot. I don't keep the same meals. We do go back to staples, but I do sit there and look on Pinterest. I'll watch videos and I'll copy recipes from other people. It varies. It varies in what I'm feeling like for that month. And she also asked, what is your number one kitchen gadget you just couldn't live without? That's hard. I was thinking that a couple times when I cook, I'm like, oh, that'd be really neat to do a video on my favorite, but I don't know. It's like, you want to know what my favorite? It's not a gadget. It's a tool. It's a wooden spoon. I like my wooden spoon. I like my wooden spoon. You can do a whole lot with a wooden spoon. You can, having gadgets is great. I get that. Like, we didn't have a blender forever and we still lived. We didn't have a food processor forever and we still lived. The mixer, we didn't have that forever and we still lived. And so, a wooden spoon and a bowl, a good bowl and a wooden spoon, that'll get you really far. You might not be able to do everything, whipping up things like in a mixer or a blender, but you can do a whole lot with a wooden spoon and a bowl. So those would be my favorite gadgets. That and a good knife. Yeah, you could get by with just that. The other things are awesome. Love having the other things. Those are great too. But if I had to go to bare minimum, if I had to just take a few things with me, it would be a wooden spoon and a nice stainless steel bowl. I guess I could make anything in that. She also asked how we liked our ice machine. We really enjoy our ice machine. All my kids are loving the pellet ice machine. That is probably our favorite investment right now. And so we had the little ice maker, and that was good. It was great because it was smaller cubes to go in their water bottles, but the pellet ice, a family favorite. So pellet ice, for sure, that was a good investment for our family. When do you start your homeschool year? I don't know. My kids were just asking, when are we going to start school? And I'm like, I just don't know. I have planned it out for the years before. We started right after Labor Day, and we did this, and we were very structured. And then there was years we did it all through the summer. And then this year, life is just a little bit different, and we just, like last year, we had Lauren's wedding. I was thinking last year she had her wedding. So we kind of were busy with that, so we started late. Now this year, we don't have a wedding, but we're going to have a baby. Eventually it's going to be a little bit later, but I don't know. I'm hoping too soon. I have it on my list to order their books and things. I just have to get there. Maybe today. That's why I'm filming early, so that I can have the rest of the day to spend time with them and maybe make out my list of things I'm going to order. So yeah, I don't know. Soon. No set time, but soon. What is your best advice when you have a child that just doesn't feel motivated to participate that day? I would make sure that it's not just lack of sleep or whatever, and then I would give them grace. Like repeated offenses, yeah, like teenagers and kids too. They just get tired and lazy, and they can be into that. But you know what? Us as adults do the same thing. I can be tired and lazy. Like today, I'm like, I'm not feeling. Yesterday, I was not feeling like anything. You saw my video. I wanted to crawl back into bed and go back to sleep, but I knew what I had to do, and so. You give grace. You give grace for those days, and maybe you do something different. Sometimes, you know what? Okay. Or I say, okay, we just have to work for a little bit. Let's just get this done, and then we'll do something different. So give grace for certain things, and you can tell when your kids are stressed, and when you're stressed. It's never good to push, because you're going to crack. And so giving them the grace to do that, and watching your attitude, check yourself. Kids are a good reflection of parents. So check yourself to see, like, is it you, or is it just, or are they just having a bad day? Probably just having a bad day and just need a little bit of a break. And then she also asked, she's got a lot of questions. Lisa, you're going to do my whole video. When you first moved to the mountains, what was your first step beside the obvious, your husband's job, and choosing the area you settled in? Did you have a list of things you needed from the community you would like to settle in? How did your family feel about leaving and moving? So when we moved here, I have a whole testimony video, and I will try. It's called, I moved my family 700, I don't know how to add it to the video here. Maybe I'll link it below. Moved our family 700 miles away. Why? And it shares that whole story. It was just God's hand in all of it, moving, and husband got the job, and then it was just God finding everything else. Like, because where we were looking, it was just ridiculously expensive, and I'm like, we are never going to afford to live here. And we found a little house that was taken with little pictures. It was more like a flip phone, so the pictures just looked sketchy to me, and I was like, they're holding something back on those photos. And every other house we looked at, we liked, and we called, and it would go like within days, and that house stayed out there, and I was like, I'm just going to call. And it ended up being like the greatest blessing, because they were wonderful people. They were just older people that didn't know how to take great photos with their phone, or they didn't have the screen touch phone. It was just a flip phone taking pictures. But we stayed there, and then we bought this house, and I also share that in the video. When we went to buy our house, I remember, because we stayed in that home, and it was their home. Their mama was in a nursing home, and then she passed away, and so family was going to do something with the house, and they said, we're not going to kick you out or any of that, but we knew it was time to start looking for a home, and so we did. And I wasn't like in a hurry, and so I just told our realtor lady, I just said, told her what we wanted, and I said, I want to stay in our town. Like, I don't want to move to another town. Kind of told her what we liked. Just didn't really have anything specific, but just a bigger, obviously, home, and different, how many bedrooms and stuff like that. And I remember she's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to find that. And I said, oh, you'll find it. God will help you find it. And so she would send me like different listings, and I was like, no, I'm not even going to look. She's like, don't you want to look at it? I'm like, no, it's not even in my town. I'm going to stay in my town. And she's like, it's going to be hard to find in your town, because it's either grandma and grandpa's land, or really expensive. And I said, you'll find our home. And one day I was sitting down at the lake with my girlfriend, and she sent me a message, and she goes, I found your house. And I said, you did? She goes, yeah, it was. She goes, it's not listed anywhere. It's not listed online. The owners are very careful not to post it. And she says, a friend of a friend saw it for sale and told me about it. And I was like, okay. And I remember driving up our driveway, and we have a really steep driveway, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I still remember getting out of our van and walking up, and the Lord just spoke to me and said, this is your home. And I was like, what? And when we walked through the house, like, I still was like in a numb, like, when I walked through everything, it was like everything I wanted. The right colors. It was everything that I wanted for, like, our home. And so, yeah, and then there's a whole story with that, how God, and again, I showed that in the other video, so I won't go too much, but it was just God's hand in all of it. And it's like, when God's hand is in it, it works flawlessly. Like, people, like, they'll stress about getting a house, and they'll do this and all this. It was so crazy. So no, it shouldn't be stressful and crazy. Even moving all of our kids here to North Carolina, if it was the right move, it shouldn't be crazy. It was very peaceful. And the same thing with the home. It was like his hand was in everything, like everything, so effortlessly, like right to the T. I was even texting the owner of the home, and we were messaging each other, asking things about the house and all that. And she's like, people don't recommend that the owners and the buyers message each other. And we just kind of laughed, because I'm like, well, we know when God's in it, like, that's okay. And so just, it was God. It was God. And very thankful for where we're at. Love our house. Love being up here. This is our home. Blue-Eyed Diva 1. She's a newbie as of March 21 to our channel. So she said, few questions. May I adjust them? Can you tell more about your part-time job at church? I don't have a part-time job at church. I have a volunteer position at church. So I'm part of our elementary team. And so what I do is I'm the leader for our elementary part of our church. And so my favorite thing to do is organize curriculum. I have curriculum for school. I like getting things together. I like being able to plan things out and making lists and making it all set. And so what my job is, we get curriculum from Orange Curriculum, which is a Christian base for church curriculum. And I take it and I kind of get what's going to be good for each of our classes that we have. We have 3 different classes in elementary, and so I get it all set so that each teacher can have curriculum to do every single week, all the supplies that that teacher needs. And then I go in once a week and they have it all printed out for me, and I just put all the instructions together, and any kind of paper that they need or any kind of supplies, I get it for them, put it in a little rolling cart and put it in that room. So when that teacher comes in, that volunteer, I'll say teacher, that volunteer comes in, what they can do is they don't have to go, oh my goodness, what do I do here? What am I going to teach these kids? Or I don't even know what to do. And they have like a basis thing they can go by, but they can take more of the time to pour into the kids versus like having to worry about, cutting out a million little hearts or triangles or whatever the thing that the curriculum has for you to do that week. And they can spend more time pouring into the kids and getting to know them and building bonds and relationships. So I take out all of the individual work, all the work that takes time to do when you're teaching. Because I remember when before we had all this set up at church, and before they had a children's pastor and things, and I remember going to teaching, and I was teaching in a class, and it was like, okay, what do I even teach? And I had no idea. I just had to come up with my own thing. And it was a little daunting for a person, even though I love Jesus and I loved all that and I love kids, but just knowing what to do. And it took a lot of time to kind of plan things so you can teach a class. And so having that curriculum all set has been the way that they have it now. It's good because there's no figuring out. It's okay, this is what we're going to teach. This is what we're going to do. Everybody's on the same page, and we just take it to our kids. And so that's what I do. So it's not a part-time, it's just a volunteer position. I get to go there once a week and do that. It doesn't take me time at all, and it helps in hugely for my team at church. And she wants more details about our pets. Yes, everybody sees our pets, where they sleep, all those things. And so we have, and she has a little cat feral adoption center program. Our cats are North Carolina. It's funny, Michigan, you can find cats all day long. People are giving away cats, giving them away because there's so many. I remember we had a lot of cats because they were just outside cats, and they just had, tons of babies, and they were just everywhere. Cats everywhere. So here in North Carolina, there's not that abundance of cats, and so you have to buy your cats. So we have we've had multiple cats over the years, and so they're outside cats. That's what they do. We got them because we had mice, and there was rats, and we had snakes. And so you have those things in the mountains. And so I was like, I'm getting me some cats to not have that. And they keep all those little rodents away. And we have a place for them to sleep so that they're safe in that. But they're mostly outside. They're outside hunting cats. Lauren had a cat she brought home, and she kept it inside for a while. And the cat was fine. And then when he realized that there was a whole world of kitty cats outside, that cat was not about to stay in this house. So he just took off outside. And I was like, oh, and he didn't want to come back in. So I was like, okay, live outside. So they are good. We take care of them out there, make sure that they're all dry and have a place to sleep and warm, all that good stuff. So they do that. And then our dogs, we have, Maxine is inside. She is out. I have a few that have really bad allergies to dogs, highly allergic where you can't breathe to dogs. And so Ruby, our outside dog, our coonhound, she is one of those dogs that has that dog smell. And I don't know if you guys know what the dog smell is, but smell that it's so bad. I can feel, I know for myself, it makes me just my airways just restrict right up. And so where I can't breathe. And so she is our outside dog. She is a mountain hunting dog. She alerts us. She alerts us on bears. She keeps the property safe. That's what her job is. And so she's mostly outside, but we do bring her in to sleep at night. But for the most part of the summer, she just stays outside because she sleeps. She's got her little bed. She loves it. She stays outside, and she's a good dog, a good watchdog for that. We have Maxine, the smaller dog. She's inside. She doesn't have a dog smell. She doesn't smell like that allergic kind of scent, and so she is an inside dog. That's what we have inside. Maxine, if she stayed outside, she would get herself killed by a bear or something because she's a feisty dog, and she would just go run off and be gone. So I can't leave her outside because she would just disappear. But Ruby, she stays. She stays and does the patrolling of the yard. So, but they're all well taken care of and make sure that they're in a nice, safe place. And Barbara, she asked me, how did you start your vlog? I think from what I'm remembering, I started a long time. We moved to here in North Carolina, and I didn't do Facebook and I didn't do those things. I just did my blog. And so I wanted a place that I could share with friends what we were doing here. And so I started doing a little bit, just with my phone and just sharing what we did. And so I filmed little clips of moving to North Carolina and just little things we did. And, then I would do things when we were inside the house. And I just started real slow with things like that. And then I remember moving here to this house. And I remember I was like, I can do this, and I'm going to start doing it just because I did my blog. But for myself, I'm a better speaker than I am a typer, a writer. I can write, but do better. I feel like I can convey my message much better speaking, because when I write and type, I feel like I have to get a whole lot to say, and there's not enough. My fingers don't move as fast as my mouth does. And so I was like, it's so much easier just to vlog. And I've always thought, like, as a stay-at-home mom, I'm like, I just want to view, like, I'd read books about other stay-at-home moms and read, stories and newsletters and different things. But I'm like, I want to know what it's like in a mom's house. Like, what are her days really like? And this is kind of big before, like, really vlogging was huge. And I'm like, if you could just set a camera up in a house and watch to see the home and what they do all day long. And there was a few, like, that I used to watch, like Jen Morrell. She did it for a long time, and I'd be like, yeah, she's filming her day. Okay, I do those things. That's what I do. And I thought, what a great thing to be able to share. And then I would watch other ones, and it was just like little snippets of their day. And I thought, that's not real life. Like, that's just, okay. And I'm like, I want to show all of it. I want to show my whole day and what I do as a stay-at-home mom, and to share with other mamas so they're encouraged. They don't watch videos and just think it's got to be picture perfect. And they don't just watch things and go, oh, I don't do that. I'm a total failure. Or my school day doesn't look like that at all. Or, wow, I don't know how I could keep up with people. No, they can learn that life is real, and that, like, mamas need breaks sometimes. Like yesterday, my day was I needed a break and I needed time away. And so that happens. Or some days we do a lot of school, we do great. And then some days we don't do anything at all. And so I started doing it more of an encouragement to, like, I want to share with other mamas. I want to encourage other mamas that, you know what, it's okay. Like, life isn't, like, picture perfect, and it's okay to plan for things, and it's okay to have the upheavals of life and just real life. That's always what I wanted to share. And I remember started filming one day, and I was like, oh my goodness, I could never do this all day long. And it was really, the first few videos were really hard to do, but then the more you do it, it gets a whole lot easier. I mean, it's still weird having a camera in your face, and whenever there's people over, I'm always like, okay, I'm gonna go outside right now because I feel weird talking to a camera and they're standing behind there just staring at me. So it's still weird, but that was how I started doing it. And she also asked, any suggestions for a young teen that isn't, I think it's introvert, to have a question. I have tried open-ended questions. Teenagers they're wonderful. They are, and it's a time in their life where they're learning and growing and going through different things. And none of my teens have been the same. None. People say, oh, you've had 10 kids and you should know. No, every single one is different. Every single one is different. You have one that's very open with their emotions, and then there's some that are very closed in with their things. And so how do you get to them to talk? I don't know. I wish I knew. I found, and I have nothing perfect. I'm not. Trust me, I'm still learning. I still have a whole lot of kids to go through high school age, teenage age, but just talking, keeping that communication open and having their hearts, I think, is the most important. And just knowing that when they have something, they can come to you. And some are just quiet, and that's okay. And some need more talking, some need more physical contact, and some just like to just explain things more, where others just keep it closed in and just making sure, hey, are you doing okay? Are you really doing okay? How do you feel about this? Or once you find out what they like and what they enjoy doing, let them talk to you about it. Let them talk and just go. Once you kind of see what they enjoy doing, and even if it doesn't interest you, getting to see what, like, makes them come alive, listen to what they're saying and just get to know it. And then, find ways that you can spend time with them. And it might just be something like taking them out to lunch to their favorite restaurant, or, doing something they enjoy doing, or, I don't know. It's mostly about that heart issue, because you want to tie strings so that going through those rocky times as teenagers, because they go through them, that when they come out of them, you've spent that time. You can tie those strings, and they might go a little bit one way or a little bit the other way, but you still have a little bit of that bond. It doesn't mean you have to be best friends, or you have to, never get after them or discipline them. It's just more of, they know that their heart is there and their heart is taken care of, and that they feel safe there, and that they can talk, and that they connect. And so spend more time doing that, and that just takes time. That takes time, and that's being relational and being real and being authentic with things, and just talking and taking those few moments to find out how they're feeling, and to taking those few moments, and and I'm guilty of being busy and not, trust me. And so just take those times, and we are busy. We have a lot going on. I get that, but finding those moments that, okay, how can I connect with this child? How can I connect with that child? And just making it intentional and real. Right, Catherine Blankenship. She's a fairly new subscriber, watching for almost a year. She has 3 kids. Oldest has behavioral problems. We've been trying to get under control. We found out that he has conduct disorder and ADHD. Do you have disciplinary suggestions besides spanking? We've tried timeouts and grounding, but nothing seems to be working. I know. I wish I had a parent instruction book to say this is how you do it. There is no set way of how to discipline kids. But the key is consistency. And I'm guilty of not being consistent. Trust me, very guilty of not being consistent. But the times that I was consistent, and I still fail in this one, ask my kids, they're like, Mom, how does he get away with that? Or how does she get away with that? And they're like, oh, because he's number 10. He's number 9. So I'm learning, getting more consistent. It's work on your part, mamas. It's work on your part because it takes time to do it. And so be consistent with whatever you do. For kids, I found that if they have some sort of structure, it doesn't have to be very rigid, but if they know, like we have somewhat of a structure, but the times that I get lapse on it and don't be consistent, they just realize, oh, Mom's not going to care, and then they go back to their old ways. But if you are consistent, like if you have, okay, you wake up in the morning, you do certain things like breakfast, brush your teeth, get ready, feed the animals, whatever their chores are, and then we have school. After school is done and you get that completed, you may have some free time. Whatever your schedule, that's just what we do. And so if they know that that is what is expected, then they have free time, then they'll abide by it. But if they know that they can play their device in between there and you're not going to say anything, then they'll just push you over and over and over again. And so being consistent, and that one time you take that away and say, okay, sorry, not going to have it for a week. What? A week? Yes, I know. Because after a few days, they get real angry for a few days, but by the third or fourth day, they go, oh, okay. And then when the time comes back that they can have it again, they're, okay, remember the rules. Get all your school done, and then you can have your device. They're much more appreciative of their time on things versus, I say device because I feel like that's mostly what my kids value and have. And so not to have that is a lot. But if you just get to the point where you're angry and frustrated with yourself because you haven't been consistent, it's not going to do any good because it's just going to be like a big explosion in the household. And so being consistent with things is the key important, and that takes time. It takes time to have a schedule and keeping and sticking with it. But once you do, even if it's just for a little bit, like I know our days are busy, but if I can go, okay, from 9 o'clock until 12, this is what we're doing, no matter what, and keep with that. Everybody knows Maxine's choking over here. She's fine. Are you okay, Maxine? She's like, I'm just coughing. If they know that this is their rules, then, and what we're going to do, they abide by it. So in the moment that they get off, okay, that's not acceptable. This is the consequence of that. So that's my advice. And Nadia Liz Nunez, she asked how we came up with the name Maxine and why. Because of, does anybody remember the TV show Max and Ruby? Or are we the only one? Max and Ruby? Remember the Bunny Rabbit TV show? We had Ruby, and I don't even know how they call her Ruby May. Ruby May, that was her name when they got her. And so when Greg got Ruby, and they call her Ruby May. And so then we were like, what can we need a dog to go with Ruby. And we're like, how about Ruby and Max? And then I'm like, okay, that's a cool name. Well, then Max ended up being a girl. So I'm like, let's call her Maxine. And so when she goes to the vet, her name is Max. And I'm like, it's Maxine. I'm like, oh, because we originally called her Max as a boy name, but she's a girl. So Ruby and Maxine, that's how we came up with her name. And then Dawn Robinson, she says, I probably got a silly question. The woods that run along the back of your house, is it an actual forest? I saw in your one video a bear was outside the bedroom window, and it would scare me. Yes, it is a forest. It's a mountain, so it's kind of, I don't know, there's like neighbors that way, but they're over pretty far, and way behind us, it's like mountain. So you have to go down, you have to go really far to get to a house. And that way there's houses, but again, it's pretty far. You have to go down the mountain ridges and go back up the mountains. And so, yes, it's forest, and that's where the bears like to live. And so they live up there. They do. They kind of travel through the mountain areas. I haven't seen one myself yet. He did get into our trash, awesome. But we keep our trash away in the garage now, and it was last week, right? Yeah, last week that happened. That was fun. But we haven't seen him since, so usually once a year we see him. I just haven't seen any dog. Again, Ruby is our high alert dog with my dogs right now. Just staring at their Maxine, just staring like, what is there? But bear season, when we first moved here, we saw them a lot. Like they would come up the driveway. There was one over that walked along the back. When we had our, I think it was last year, he came down and kept taking our trash up. And so they do come. It's just bear season. You just have to be aware of them. And so I'm not like terrified to go outside, but you are aware, like my kids know it is bear season, so don't go outside by yourself. Take a dog with you. It's not something to be fearful of, like don't ever go out, but it's more like, are you going to go out to the pool? Okay, make sure you take Maxine or Ruby, and then they know like our escape routes. Like if it comes over this way, you can go. You obviously can get that way. If you can't, you have to jump off the deck this way and go in the house that way. There's escape plans. But there are bears. There are bears here. You just have to be aware of things. Just like snakes. We have copperhead snakes and rattlesnakes, things like that. You just have to be aware that they're there. I have cats that hopefully keep them away, and dogs, and we haven't seen any at all this year, thank goodness. But spiders, same thing, black widows and brown recluse spiders, we have those. I spray a lot for those. You can see me spraying my chemicals everywhere, but I don't want to get bit by one because we have, and it is not very good and safe wise. So you're just aware. When we first moved here, I was so terrified of all of that stuff. So we had a little deck on our house, and that's where my kids played. That's it. I didn't allow them to go on the grass. I didn't allow them to go out in the yard because I was so scared. What if a snake came out and bit them? So, live and learn. God worked on me, and I'm like, okay, well, we can do this. We can go out in the yard, and people are like, oh, watch those little, that's where the snakes want to live, in those little, the parts of the woods. And I'm like, okay, but now we run through the yard, we go up in the woods. We're just aware of things, and so being informed helps. Mommy of 3 queens, she said, how did I keep my faith so strong? And most of all, how did you teach your children? Am I ever late to teach kids about religion connection? No, you're never too late to teach your kids about Jesus. And they see it from you. That's the best example. When I was first saved, I thought my kids would learn best by me teaching, and just, you got to get this, you got to memorize this, you have to know this, or you're not going to go. If you don't do this, you're going to not know Jesus. And then I realized over the years, because time and kids, they see you, and they see your example, and they see how you live your life. Kids learn best by example, and they will watch you and how you respond to things. They'll see you and your anger, or they'll see you how you respond when moments of stress come. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, no, but they learn forgiveness. They learn, okay, Mom screwed up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry that I yelled. I'm sorry that I had a bad day, and I want to do better. But teaching them those things, it's never late. No, it's never late. And you might have some that are older and you think they're never going to get it, but if you sow those seeds in them and continue to pray for them, don't stress. You can raise your kids in the same home, all of them, and do the same thing with all of them. And guess what? You've got a whole lot of different personalities, and they're all going to do different things. And I've learned that because I have a lot of kids. I know some just have a few kids, and they're like, oh, I just didn't do that right, or I didn't do that right, or no, you can do what you can do, and what God gives you to do. But even in a household full of 10 people, they're all going to do a different thing. And it might not be the thing that you think is right. So, newsflash, kids have their own mind, and they will, and they become young adults, and they have to go out in the world and do things on their own. And so what you do is, when your child is going through those moments where you're like, oh my goodness, what are they doing? Don't react negatively. It's okay to say things in love, but the most important thing is the love. Continue through it, because maybe they're testing the waters. Maybe they're just stepping out and seeing, is this really what my faith is? Is this really what I need to be doing? And that's okay, because it's okay to question. It's okay. Otherwise, if they just take your faith and do your thing, that's not their faith, that's your faith. And so let them test, let them do their thing when they're out of the house. When you're in the household, you have some rules, and you keep those rules, and that's fine. But if they move out and do their own thing, and it's not what you want them to do, you pray for them, and you love them, and you still continue to talk, and you still love and encourage. And then they go through things, and they might fall, and you don't say, I told you so, you should have listened to your mom. You don't say those things. You just say, that's okay, and you just be there for them. And you be there for them, so when they get back up, they know that, hey, their mama loves them unconditionally. Their mama is going to be there for them. And when they really want to come back, okay, and you just continue to pray for that. You pray for that and believe that, and you just encourage and be non-judgmental, and just be that light to them. That's my advice for kids. Don't give up, and know it's never too late to do that. And Carrie Rorish, she said, what made you decide to homeschool your children? We started out of convenience, because the way that Greg was working, he was working nights at the time. And so when I was thinking about the next school year for my kids, I had a baby, and I would have had one that was going to kindergarten and one that was going to school. And so I would have had to get up and take them to school, then also come back and pick up the one from kindergarten, have a baby at the same time, and then also pick up the one that was done with school in the afternoon. It was just a lot of running, and I didn't want to do that. And I had a friend that homeschooled, and I was like, how could I do this? And so we basically did out of convenience, because Greg worked nights, and so being able to see him before he went to work, that was important. So we started homeschooling out of convenience, and then it just went into like, oh, we would never change this. This is just a way of life, and so we enjoy having our kids at home. She said she is doing her 8-year-old developmentally disabled son for the first time, and he's can't do certain things. Advice for her who's just starting out, I need some patience with him. Yes, we do need patience. We all need patience, Mama. Don't worry. Relax and enjoy. That's my number one thing. Don't stress. Like, don't feel like you have to be at a certain level all the time, and don't feel like you have to teach this, and if you don't, they're going to fail. Or if they don't learn reading by a certain age, they're going to be failed. No, don't do that. Be patient yourself and just enjoy learning. Do a little bit every day. If your child struggles with reading, all right, take 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day. That is not a whole lot of time your day. And practice reading, or read with them, or have them read, or whatever, every day. Every day, if you do that consistently, you will see improvement in a couple months' time. You will. You're guaranteed to. If your child struggles with math facts, all right, work on it for 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day, if you work on math facts, in a few months' time, they will get better at their math facts. And it's the same thing with all of that. But don't stress. Don't stress. Don't stress. Don't stress. Take a break. When you find yourself stressing, stop what you're doing and go, okay, this is not working. Take a step back and go, I need to stop doing that, or I need to take that out of the curriculum. We would have big dreams of doing all these curriculums and base things and all these big programs and all this reading and all this great thing. It was going to be a great fun day. We had all scheduled out, and then it just fell apart. I was like, and I'd be stressing because I was trying to catch up. And then I realized that's when I started writing my own curriculum, because I'm like, kids, what do they need to know? Like the basics. The basics is what they need to know. And then let's find what they love to do and do that on the side. And that's what we did. And I find that works best. If we just focus on the basics. Okay, kids, I know this isn't your favorite. I know you don't love this, but you have to know this in life. So we take a little bit of time to learn that. And then I say, okay, let's go find something else fun to do. Let's go learn about whatever, or let's learn about do this, or let's do that. Find what they love to do and then take the time to do it. And that might be playing. It might be playing Legos. It might be playing video games in a creative way. It just whatever they enjoy doing, and go with that. But don't stress. When you're stressing, take a check on yourself and say, why am I stressed? Because I have an unrealistic expectation, or I feel I need to do it a certain way? No, take a break from it. That's my advice. Life is a pickerel, she said. I'm so glad I have a few of my questions. My family moved to the mountains and new to mountain life. Do you have any advice on keeping up your home? My advice is get yourself a little schedule and keep up with it if you can. But be ready for things that happen. Be resilient. The best thing I've ever done is, and I've done a video on that, is set up a cleaning system for my home. Greatest thing I ever did. And now it's not so much now because it's so ingrained in me. I know how to do it. But in the beginning, just setting up, going through my home and figuring out what I need to do in every single room, organizing that. I do have a video on that. I think it's setting up a cleaning system. Amy Maryon, I think you can just type that in. I'll try to link it below again. I have to remember these things when I'm filming. I'll put it below. But basically, it takes time. And then once you do that, you know that every day when you wake up and you're like, what do I do today? You have a little list. Okay, this is what I have to accomplish. Tuesday, this is what I'm accomplishing. This is what I'm doing Wednesday. So you have something so that your house doesn't get so far gone and you don't go, oh, I need to clean the fan blades because they're so dusty and I haven't. Well, no, because I already know that at the first week of the month, I'm going to be getting to that room and cleaning those. Or my freezers are so disgusting and dirty and I've been putting them off for a long time now. No, because I know that next month, whatever, second week of the month, I'm going to be cleaning those out. Whatever. Having a schedule, a routine, and knowing what to do is good to do. And then if you don't do it, it's okay, because you'll do it again eventually. I know for myself, we haven't done a whole lot of extra this summer in the home, but I just looked at my fan blades and I was like, I need to clean those. And so I did. But did I clean everything? No, but I just wiped those because I know they need to be cleaned. When the time is right again, and in a few, maybe next month, I might get into a deep cleaning mode and I'll go through and go, all right, that'll get clean because I'm going to deep clean that out. So having that schedule is huge, huge, huge. And that gives you a sanity because you know what you need to do. Things get accomplished and then it's not stressful. And Charlene Wood said, would you go into more depth into what you do for your morning Bible devotions? I'd like to know your routine or what you do. I don't have a set routine, but I like to start my mornings out and I wake up, have my coffee, and I sit at my computer desk and I'm learning to not touch my phone or look at my planner, or look at my computer before, and I take some time with the Lord, and I'll pray. Usually, sometimes I've been starting to write in a journal, and so writing things out. I started doing a gratitude journal, which is, I have a journal that I've been writing out like my prayer requests and things in, and just things that have been going on in my life, and I felt like it was more of a, just if I was having a bad time or a hard time, I was just sharing that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I went to the point that I said, I want to be thankful for things in my life. Not that I'm not thankful, but I want to remember how God moved in my life at a certain time. I want to see God's hand in things. And so I started doing a separate one. I still have my one where I have my prayer requests and my complaints. It's not my complaints. It is my complaints. It is my complaints. But the other one is more of thankful and just when I'm thinking about like the day, and I sit in the morning and I go, okay, what happened yesterday? How did God provide for me, or what did God do for me? And there was like yesterday I got an email from somebody, person from South Africa, other side of the world, doesn't know me at all except from videos. And she just wrote out this big email to me and just thank you for a channel. And then she just wrote like a whole thing of what God told her to share. And it was just something to a T that I needed to hear at that time. And I was like, thank you, Lord. And it's amazing how someone completely on the other side of the world I've never even met, she's never met me, she just sees me in my videos, and how like God would speak to her to say something to me. And so I had her email, and so I saved and I wrote down in my little gratitude thankfulness journal that part of her message, just to remind me of that. And so it's things like that, I'll put that in there. Or if something in my home, if God just provided for a certain thing for my child, or gave me an opportunity to share something, or did something physical for me, wrote it down. And he does every day. I'm living and breathing every day, but it's just the specific things that I always ask him, what do I need to write down, Lord? Because I want to be reminded of those things in my life when I'm going through things in life. And I want to be reminded of, look at what God did. Look how God provided me in that time. And so that's what I do first. And then usually write. And then I usually sit and take my time with the Lord, pray and thank him for my day. I have I have a prayer list of things that I pray for my own life, different things that I say and confirm in my own life that God has given me, pray for things in my life that I want changed, pray for, guidance to know what to do, words to speak that edify people, and just encouragement to other people, and just praying to be closer to the Lord. And I want to know him like so close, and thanking him for the opportunities for that. And then afterwards I'll have some scripture to read, like in my Bible. I'll grab my Bible and I'll read some scriptures in there. If there's something in there that I'm reading for the day. And then I also have a book. I have started reading books. I know. I used to read all the time, and then I stopped for years. And so just this time, and I do usually listen to like sermons. I usually listen to messages, and then I'll usually put my earbud in and start listening to that, and it'll be different sermons and just different teachings. And so I'm learning different things. And so I'll listen to that. And I might, if I have time in the morning, I might sit and just listen and then mark the scripture in my Bible or write little notes down, just depending on the time that I have. And so I'll do that, and then I'll read my book. And so it's just been different books that have just encouraged me in my life right now, and different things that I'm going through. And they've been very good. I usually try to read a chapter each morning, and to read it, and all right, Lord, what do you want me to do with this? And so taking notes on it, things like that. And so that's usually how my morning Bible time goes. That's how I like it to go. And like I said, it just kind of varies depending on the day or what happens. But I find that if I get up before everybody and make sure I take that time and get up early enough, then that gives me the ability to get that done. And so that's what I do for my morning devotion time. Hopefully that answers that. All right, then Queenstown Brit's cooking. She says, how do you maintain everything? I don't know. Jesus, that's how I maintain everything. That is how I do what I do. Being a homemaker, my husband always worked outside of the home, and for myself, I'm like, okay, he's outside making a paycheck and bringing that income into our house. I can't obviously work outside. I couldn't at the time work outside of the home. And so how can I help his paycheck stretch further? How can I stretch things better? How can I be more efficient in my work? And so I started research. This is way back in the day, before the internet. And I remember getting books from the library on homemaking and, keeping home and cleaning and cooking, different things. Ruby. And so just to help me in my walk, and just to encourage me, there was no YouTube and videos and day in the lives of moms. So I just read, and I tried to get informed, and I talked to other moms, and I saw what they did, and I looked at older moms that had big families and learned from them and different routines and things that they did. And so I wanted to be not the best, but I wanted to be good at my job as well, because my job was important. And so learning how to manage a home, and learning how to schedule things out, and learning how to get a good cleaning schedule set, learning how to make a budget for groceries and sticking with it, learning how to make meals for my family when I didn't have that much for groceries. And I mean, there's times that we didn't have that much, and I just had $30 for the week for groceries. And I was like, how are we going to make this happen? And I was like, you know what, we're going to make it happen. And being able to do that. And we ate just fine. And so taking on, I considered it like a challenge for me, and just to be able to do those things. And so, um, just just like everything, you want, if you had a job outside of the home and you were an accountant, you would want to be the best accountant you could be. If you were a nurse, you want to be the best nurse you could be, and you'd want to inform yourself and get better and get that knowledge and things. And so the same thing for stay-at-home moms, and I that's what I've done with my life. And so learning to, like, what works, what doesn't work. And I'm still learning because things change all the time, but I find, okay, this is not stress anymore. Cleaning is not stress in my home anymore. It's actually easy. Food is not stress anymore. I can do it. I can do it with no money. I can do it with a lot of money. Going shopping, that can be stressful, but it's not. I've just learned to do things over the years. And so, and just finding, if it doesn't work, okay, this is not working. What do I need to change about it? That's what I do for my day. So awesome. I still have questions to go, but I think I'm going to end today's video because I think it's a lot. I don't know my timer because I keep stopping my phone here, or my camera here. So hopefully I answered some of your questions. If you have any more, leave some below. Maybe I'll do this again just to catch up on some questions. So let's read our proverb for the day. We're on Proverbs 10, contrast of the righteous and the wicked. This is the Proverbs of Solomon. A wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish, stubborn son who refuses to learn is a grief to his mother. Treasures of wickedness and ill-gotten gains do not profit, but righteousness and moral integrity in daily life rescues from death. The Lord will not allow the righteous to hunger. God will meet all his needs, but he will reject and cast away the craving of the wicked. Poor is he who works with a negligent and idle hand, but the hand of the diligent makes him rich. He who gathers during summer and takes advantage of his opportunities is a son who acts wisely. But he who sleeps during the harvest and ignores the moments of opportunity is a son who acts shamefully. Blessings are on the head of the righteous, the upright, those in right standing with God, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. The memory of the righteous person is a source of blessing, but the name of the wicked will be forgotten and rot like a corpse. The wise in heart are willing to learn, so they will accept and obey commands, instructions. Don't mind Maxine, she's choking over here. But the babbling fool who is arrogant and thinks himself wise will come to ruin. He who walks in integrity and with moral character walks securely, but he who takes a crooked way will be discovered and punished. He who maliciously winks the eye of evil intent causes trouble, and the babbling fool who is arrogant and thinks himself wise will come to ruin. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, and his words of wisdom are a source of blessing. But the mouth of the wicked conceals violence and evil. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers and overwhelms all transgressions, forgiving and overlooking another's faults. On the lips of the discerning, skillful and godly wisdom is found, but discipline and the rod are for the back of the one who is without common sense and understanding. Wise men store up and treasure knowledge in mind and heart, but with the mouth of the foolish, ruin is at hand. The rich man's wealth is his fortress. The ruin of the poor is their poverty. The wages of the righteous, the upright, those in right standing with God, is a worthwhile, meaningful life. The income of the wicked, punishment. He who learns from instruction and correction is on the right path of life, and for others his example is a path toward wisdom and blessing. But he who ignores and refuses correction goes off course, and for others his example is a path toward sin and ruin. He who hides hatred has lying lips, and he who speaks slander is a fool. When there are many words, transgressions and offense are unavoidable, but he who controls his lips and keeps thoughtful silence is wise. I'm going to stop there. I know there's more in that Proverbs, but I like that. When there are many words and transgressions and offense are unavoidable, but he who controls his lips and keeps thoughtful silence is wise. If you've got strife going on in your home, you've got lots of anger, a lot of frustration. It says right there, many words and transgressions, and when it's unavoidable, the person that controls his lips and keeps thoughtful silence is wise. Ask God. Keep God asking him when to say. It's so much easier to blab out what you want to say. Trust me, your mouth is can be like an explosion. We want to say what we want to say, and so, but not saying everything is the right thing to do. And so keeping thoughtful wisdom for your mouth and not speaking out everything you want to say, that will make you wise. That's a learning process. Yes, I understand that, but learning to control that is another great attribute to have in your life, to not just speak what you want to speak and to speak words that are edifying and encouraging to others. So, all right, so you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'm going to see you again tomorrow with another video. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you. Bye.